going on, everybody? Welcome to Brain vs. the Universe. You're here sitting down with us. My name's Victor. I got my boy Cole to the right of me. I got my boy Ty on the other side. You can see him on that split screen real quick. And we're just going to go ahead and start dropping into the conversation. I'm going to let Ty go ahead and take over, man.
Week 1 of the NFL season. It's going to be a weird one.
Yeah.
It's going to be the weirdest one maybe ever. It was definitely weird seeing
Since the merger.
Since the weirdest season since the merger. Definitely. Yeah. It was weird seeing a 20% occupancy, I think is what they had at the Chiefs game. Chiefs versus the Texans.
Yeah.
After game 1 of the NFL season, I went to a buddy of mine who's an Eagles fan. We're Cowboys fans in this domicile here.
Big D. Through and through.
Through and through.
Blue and silver.
I have
bleed it through.
I have
Yes,
a picture
sir.
of me as a 5-year-old holding a Dallas Cowboys football. So his shit goes back. Okay, his shit ain't new over here. I told the Eagles fan, we've been arguing for no reason.
Well, they're Eagle fans. I mean, this is what they do. Has anyone ever seen Silver Linings Playbook?
I have.
I have. Yeah.
It's pretty accurate. It's pretty accurate. We've been arguing for no reason because Patrick Mahomes is in this bitch, and he looks more confident. The team looked more confident. They looked like they were wearing "We are the returning champions" like a badge of honor. They were wearing that with pride, which is scary. Now they got a running game.
It's over, man.
It's not fair. It's not. It's over.
The AFC's over.
The AFC.
The NFC, our best hope might be 67-year-old Tom Brady
Yeah.
leading the Bucks.
Man. That Buccaneers team.
The Bucks are stacked this year.
Yeah.
Tampa Bay is real, and I think if this was any other time in NFL history, they'd probably win the Super Bowl. They'd likely win it.
Right. I can hear a million Saints fans like, wait up.
Yep.
Now,
I don't know about that. Drew Brees, he the god, man. He the.
oh, those Cajuns.
Oh, man.
The Saints fans are also very talented, but I don't know. It almost seems like New Orleans is allergic to success at this point. The last 2 seasons ended ridiculously for that organization. Where
Right.
they lost the game they should have won.
Yeah.
The last 2 seasons, I believe it was. So, shout out to the Saints. Y'all are okay, I suppose. I do like Drew Brees a lot. Today, we have Jets, Bills. No one cares. Packers, Vikings.
Uh-huh.
Kind of care a little bit. Aaron Rodgers. Kirk
Cousins.
Ivan Drago Cousins.
I have to put some respect on Kirk Cousins' name.
If I die, I die.
This guy who is his agent? This motherfucker gets every contract imaginable under heaven and earth for no reason.
While only playing every year.
Yeah.
All right, poor Dak Prescott. This guy, he's made the playoffs 2 or 3 times, and he's over there having some deep thoughts right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We get to that in a minute, but I mean, our boy Dak, who, by the way, I've got mixed feelings about his contract negotiations, because if this guy actually wants $45 million a year, which is more than Pat Mahomes makes, no.
Yeah.
At the
I
same
agree.
time,
Clear. Yeah.
he's only making like $600,000. Well, he's gonna get this year. He's gonna get the franchise tag placed on him, so he'll make more. But it's just a 1-year deal. If he breaks his leg out there, then there's no
It's the nature of the beast, man.
security clearance, so to speak.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll return to Dak Prescott here in a second. Eagles versus the Washington men's football team.
Hey, man. I almost said earlier when you brought up about
man.
the Chiefs not having enough people, like
Yeah.
20% in the crowd. I was going to say at Arrowhead Stadium, but I stopped. Okay? Because Arrowhead Stadium, when you just say it out loud, given the fact that it's now the Washington men's football team,
Yeah.
as opposed to what? The Washington women's football team?
The Washington men's football team.
Don't be disrespectful. Okay.
man.
They're in the second quarter as we speak. Eagles are up 10-0.
Okay.
The Browns are playing the Ravens. It's 10 Ravens, 6 Browns. I'm going to skip these next games because they don't matter. All the way to this evening. The primetime slot, of course, because it's America's team. 5:20 p.m. Pacific, Cowboys versus the Rams.
And they're playing that Los Angeles team that I'm yet to meet any fans of out here.
Yeah.
Have I met a Rams fan?
Okay, I take that back. I met them because I went to a sports bar, very unadvised. Unadvised if you're a Cowboys fan here. And they're playing the local team, and you go to a sports bar to see the game during the playoffs. 2 years ago when we lost.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
This dude walked up to me and he goes, and this typical LA shit, man, it's just a game. It's just a game. Now, I had a blood, he was right next to me. I had a blood vessel, like my vein was just going. I looked like Eustace and fucking Courage the Cowardly Dog. I wanted to like rip this guy's throat out and like throw it on the bar and then drink his beer and be like, this guy ain't shit. But
complete dick.
I had to keep my composure.
Yeah.
And he's like, you're a Cowboys fan? I'm like, you don't say.
You
I had a
couldn't
jersey on and a hat. I'm like, yeah, a little bit. He goes, how long you been a fan? I started liking Los Angeles Rams when they moved back to Los Angeles. So I'm like, last year.
Yeah.
Yeah, you've been liking them for a year. Get out of my fucking face, you phony, fair weather motherfucker. I don't want to talk to you about sports.
You're a phony.
You don't have a spine.
You're a big fat phony. Yes.
I wish my dad was with me when that happened because he would have.
That probably wouldn't have been for the best.
No, he wouldn't have been able to keep his shit together. He'd have been like, no, or Frankie, if Frank was with us.
He swung on that motherfucker. Oh God! Thank God you were with Victor, who's a calm head.
Yeah.
The Rams are actually favored in this game. I'm not exactly sure why. The Cowboys seem to obviously have the better roster.
Yeah.
The Rams are the football team most like an NBA team, I think. They have 3 really good to good players that they pay a ton of money, like they're superstar talents. And they've kind of left the rest of the roster to, whoever we can find, we'll pay them the league minimum. We'll fill up the rest of the roster that way. That doesn't work in football.
No.
You can do that in the NBA. You can put even 2 superstar players and then just find a bunch of guys from your G League team that have been playing in your system for a couple years, just shuttle them in, and you'll win some games. You might not win a championship, but you'll make the playoffs, especially if you're in the East. That's what the Rams remind me of. So, yeah, I don't have much faith for anybody this year outside of Tom Brady and Patrick Mahomes. I think that's the list. I think that's our Super Bowl.
Yeah, or Green Bay. Aaron Rodgers got to the NFC Championship game last year, and I think they added a couple pieces around him. So
I didn't really keep up with Green Bay during the draft.
I think they've been I didn't like the coaching selection. Matt LaFleur.
LaFleur.
Channeling our inner Stephen A. Yeah, so I think I was about to say the Patriots because I'm so used to them being part of the discussion. It's so weird to be like, yeah, I'm going to discount the Patriots this year, which I am, by the way. I don't think they have a prayer coming out of the AFC. Cam Newton hasn't been himself since 2015.
No.
And as nice of a coach as Bill Belichick is, he'll put him in positions to succeed. I expect they'll probably make the playoffs because that division's weak, but there's no way they get past Kansas City or the Titans or the teams they struggled with last year. It's the same team without Tom Brady.
Yeah.
And they and last year was the weakest team they've ever rolled out, in my opinion.
They struggled a lot last year.
Yeah.
I don't have much faith in the Pats, although I'll be watching. I'm very curious as to what they're going to look like with Cam Newton as a quarterback. So, again, speaking of quarterbacks, speaking of Dak Prescott came out in an interview that he did with his brother recently where he discussed his mental health and depression issues. I found this topic interesting for several reasons, but I'm going to read just some of what he said. It's crazy. All throughout this quarantine and this offseason, I started experiencing emotions I've never felt before. Anxiety for the main one, and then honestly, a couple of days before my brother passed, I would say I started experiencing depression. I didn't know necessarily what I was going through, to say the least, and hadn't been sleeping at all. And for whatever reason, one night, I slept the best I've slept, missing probably 10 plus calls from Tad and giving my dad enough time to come into my bedroom and tell me what had happened. So I woke up from probably the best night of sleep I've ever had in 2020 to some of the worst news I'll ever get. And what Dak is referencing here is that his brother committed suicide, and he goes further into it in the interview where he says it's been a thing that his family has dealt with over the years, anxiety and depression.
Yeah.
So again, multiple things about this stood out to me. Me and you have had discussions about mental health before, and kind of realizing that you had an issue, or realizing something was off and not quite being able to put your finger on what it was. So when he said that, that really stood out to me. That immediately grabbed my attention because that was my experience too. I remember being 18 in New York City on my senior trip, and being insanely, what I thought at the time was just nervous. I just felt nervous all the time, even when I had no reason to be.
Yeah.
Just shaking like a leaf, sweating.
The butterflies are still there. It's like you're about to go on stage. You're going to do a public speaking event,
There's no stage,
and you're hanging out with some friends.
Yeah, right.
And they're like, "What's wrong, dude? You look on edge." That doesn't make things better, by the way.
No.
Right. Yeah.
Makes it much worse,
Yeah.
actually. Yeah.
The good
bring
thing about
attention.
it on the stage is once you get out there and you start talking, it kind of melts away.
Yeah.
Right. And then after you get off stage, you've got this euphoric feeling like fucking yeah.
Right. Yeah, you just busted a whole load out there, man. You ready to go?
Busted a fat one. This, you can't get away from it. You can't turn it off. You can't, I've found things over the years to kind of help me deal with it. But it still is, it would be so nice if there was an on-off switch for it, right? But there just isn't as of right now. So then this sent, the media into a frenzy, and Skip Bayless, our good friend Skip Bayless.
Oh, Skip. No, don't do that. Don't do that, Skip. Skip.
Skip questioned Dak Prescott's ability to lead, essentially, because of what he said about struggling with anxiety and depression. And I think there's an interesting discussion to be had about that. About like if you get too shaky in these extremely tense moments, and you lose the game, that doesn't mean that Dak Prescott's humanity should be questioned, or that he's not valuable as a human or a person, or that he does not deserve to be loved.
Right. No, in the military, they have baseline. So if you're a fighter pilot, for example, in the Navy, if you're a Top Gun pilot, there's a baseline test. You psychologically have to be evaluated all the time for stress, pressure points, stress-induced anxiety, expectations is a big one. You're supposed to essentially like just know your job and drop the expectations. Expectations is what builds anxiety most of the time, especially if you hold yourself accountable for everything, meaning you hold yourself to a high stake, even amongst other people you feel. You're like, I'm taking this very seriously. Well, usually what happens is you'll suffer in silence if you can't mitigate the unreasonable effect that you're putting onto your own psyche, which is, I got to wake up and grind. I got to wake up and do this. I got to wake up and do that. I only got so much time on this planet. I'm the Cowboys quarterback. There's a lot of expectations on me. I got to win Super Bowls in order to be remembered. Otherwise, I'm going to be forgotten in time like the sands, like Tears in the Rain, Blade Runner, right? You have to do something extraordinary that is bigger than yourself. But when you put yourself underneath that pressure, especially if you're young and you think that you're supposed to be, I don't know, vibrant and careless, a lot of people aren't. And I feel like there's a course correction that happens as people get older. They learn how to mitigate these things. They go to therapy. Whatever it is they do, they learn more about themselves, and it's just like, it's okay. But Dak seems to be going through that phase. And his brother committed suicide. I've had some family members recently in the last year, we've been dealing with that. And anxiety and depression runs through my family, full rank on both sides, honestly. And it's difficult to talk about because you don't want to do a disservice to the person that just off themselves.
Yeah.
But you also need to be very clear that even though you love this person, you know this person, this is not only is it not normal and it's not okay, you need to disassociate yourself from those thought processes as quick as possible and go see people who, for the most part, have a better outside perspective than you do on it. That way you can start fixing things. And Dak being in the middle of these contract negotiations with the Cowboys, which have been very intense, it can't make it any better. In the middle of a pandemic, probably been inside of his house. He tried to throw a little get together party with his teammates.
It went terribly
and
wrong.
The media ripped him for days. So I don't know. I mean, I think Dak, the one thing that amazes me about this is Dak always seemed like a guy who was extremely poised. But I feel like poisonous is just, if you deal with anxiety, you will be better at dealing with it than other people. So when the things when the pressure gets tight and everyone else is anxious, you're like, hey, well, welcome to my ballpark. This is my world.
Yeah.
I'm going to own you right now.
Yeah, and that's
you're stressed out. This is a pandemic. You're losing your shit. You can't keep it together. You can't go to work. You can't walk. You can't go to the grocery store. You can't order food from a restaurant and put your mask on. You can't help but not go to the manager and bitch about something. That's you have to let your voice be heard to people you don't know. That person is someone that usually is pretty blissful, and they're thrown into a shitty situation. So to his credit, I could see a possibility where he's actually better from it. So I'm not sure Skip's. I know where he's coming from, and it's a good point to be made. But I remember Kobe Bryant talked about a little bit of this. He talked somewhat about this in one of his interviews, and he said, you can take the anxiety and turn it into rage. Concentrate it, focus it, harness that. I call it guided pressure. It's almost as if you're going, okay, I've got this issue. I've got this switch that won't turn off. Never, even when I sleep.
Yeah.
Let me just focus it at some destination. And I'll do that every day. And it will be cathartic. It will be blissful. And I think this is why we get involved in a lot of things. This is why you get an Elon Musk. This guy's not somebody that's just he's not going to turn off the switch.
Yeah.
He's been open about this, actually. He has to take Ambien at night to go to sleep. You're not going to turn the switch off. The switch is going to keep going. But I think you could use it to your benefit. Learning how to do that's some samurai shit, though, I think.
Yeah. Learning how to utilize it and focus it into whatever you want to put it into, whatever goal you have set.
Yeah, like we talked about, not fighting against the emotion, but letting it happen, going with it instead of fighting against it. It'll pass more easily.
Or actively leaning into it.
Yeah.
Right.
If you feel okay, I'm not saying go search it out.
Yeah,
But go and make sure you're not feeling okay because you found some escapism.
Yeah.
You're watching a movie, or you're reading a novel, or you're listening to a nice piece of music. I mean, that's nice. But what's going to happen if you keep doing that? It's like a beach ball you've pushed underneath the water. It's actually getting stronger, and your arms are going to get tired, and your muscles are going to get fatigued, and your mental status is going to get fatigued, and you're going to wake up one day, car's not going to start, AC is going to be off.
You're going to snap.
And you're going to fucking snap.
Yeah.
And you're going to be in a fucked up mood the entire day.
Yep.
So I'd say seek it out to some degree. Seek it out and just be like Batman. Go down in the cave and be like, have your way.
Guide your way.
What's the worst you're going to do? What's the worst you're going to do? Look anxiety in the face. What's the worst you're going to do? Make me feel anxious? It's okay to be anxious. It's human. And usually that's the boundary point by which you start to heal. I'm not saying it's easy. I've been through some pretty fucking dark days. As a personal confession, one thing that really scared me was Jordan Peterson. If you guys don't mind if I make a segue on this real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
So Jordan Peterson, clinical psychologist from University of Toronto. And I mentioned his name. He's polarizing already. So feel how you want to feel about Jordan Peterson. However, he was having issues with stress and anxiety because his wife developed cancer, and he became famous overnight, and he's doing these intense debates. His daughter's got these rare conditions, and so his doctor prescribed him Klonopin. Klonopin is a cousin. It's a benzo. It's a cousin of Valium, of Xanax. And this is what doctors will prescribe anytime you say you can't sleep or you're anxious. They'll give you either Klonopin, lorazepam, or Xanax. Full stop. Your grandpa probably called it a nerve pill. Here's the thing. They're more addictive than cocaine. And what they'll actually do is they don't fix anxiety. They zero out all your emotional states to where now your body is dependent on this sort of zoning out of the exterior sort of presence around you. Your senses are dulled. It's not actually a depression cure or an anxiety cure. It just nullifies everything, your taste buds, your sight, everything. And it's addictive, and you have to continue to go up in dosage. Here's the problem. I had the same issue. Was feeling anxious. The doctor's like, here you go, take these. And then it made me more anxious. A couple weeks in, it made it worse. And then if I tried to like wing down on it, I would have these terrible, I was having bad dreams. I was having cold sweats. And it got rough, man. I think I pulled you aside one day and I was like, dude, I can't function. I'm probably going to have to I don't know what I'm going to do. And it was going to see a therapist, and he was like, you have to get off the benzos. And it was maybe 2 or 3 days later, I read Jordan Peterson is in Russia in a coma, a self-induced coma, to help get this out of your system, because it can last 2 months. It stays in your system for 2 to 3 months. So the withdrawal effects are sustained, and you've gotten used, and you've become used to nullifying it, to where the world is too bright, the colors are too vivid, the sounds are too crisp and sharp, that everything annoys you. And it raises a bigger question about mental health, which is the way we deal with it as a country. You know, the Joker, the movie The Joker, feel how you want to about the movie's message. One of the ideas they explore, which is there's this huge disconnect from like the pharmaceutical industry and people's personal problems. The psychotherapy of the previous generation, which was better, where you kind of like went into childhood anxieties to who you are as a person to try to mitigate why you have these pressure points. They don't do that anymore for the most part. Unless you go see a really good therapist or a good psychologist. Because a psychiatrist is just going to want to put you on some benzos, straight up. They'll give you some sort of serotonin inhibitor, and they'll say it's going to take 5 to 6 weeks to work, and they're going to give you benzos that work almost 5 minutes after you take them. But it's like crack cocaine. It's a downer of downers. Don't drink alcohol on it. You'll black out. You'll have spotty memories, blank spots. It was so bad to where when I quit taking it, and I haven't taken it in 8 months, a single one, I had to retrain myself how to read and speak again in ways that I felt comfortable. So I'm like, okay, I can't go to an acting class right now because I'm clearly not grounded enough with my own security to do that. Now I feel more confident than I felt since I've been in high school, to tell you the truth. I feel great. But, I mean, it was like 2 or 3 years. And it wasn't even the moving or anything like that. This was something that was already going on. I would say now it was depression and anxiety. But at the time, those words were just words you define. It didn't help me by saying, yeah, I'm anxious. Well, I know that. I know I'm anxious. I know I'm depressed. I'm speaking about it now because I feel like it's something that, especially if you're a young girl and you're comparing yourself to other girls, or if you're a young male who's worried about his legacy, or you're worried about, here's my moment in the sun. I need to be experiencing one thing COVID has taught me since we haven't like gone out.
Yeah.
Is I'm like, I think I'm just going to go to dive bars. I think I'm just going to go to dive bars when things open back up. Because standing in a club
It's not.
is not my scene. And if anything, it just makes me go, yeah, that's not me. And I'll take my anxiety. I'll work on it. Because what I've learned is it's a part of me. A lot of it is biological. And as crazy as this sounds, I think I'd rather work through it than you take it away from me. Because I don't know who I would be. And that'd be quite terrifying.
Yeah. Yeah, the anxiety, I don't know that I want to get rid of it totally. Just like I don't know that I want to get rid of my temper problem totally. Not completely. I might need it.
Right.
You might need it.
Man. Yeah.
Negative emotions come from somewhere.
Yeah.
They are not just invalid purely because they are like, I think some people are totally within their rights to be angry about some shit. And I think it's silly to tell somebody not to be angry about, like, some people have been mistreated
Yeah.
by another person or by a group of people. And I think if you get pissed off about it, then I can't tell you that that's incorrect.
Yeah.
I can't tell you that's wrong. Sometimes negative emotions have a positive benefit. Sometimes you need to tell somebody to shut the fuck up. Sometimes that's the right thing to do, I think. It's the right way to handle something. Not all this kumbaya flowers and shit. There's
Certainly not.
There's a dark side to humanity.
And that's what comes with the definition between nice and good.
Right, which was that was a quote from The Boys. One of the characters said, I feel like the world has confused being nice with being good. And I was like, that's fucking perfect.
That's 100%
That's exactly it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you being a there's no inherent value in being a doormat for somebody.
No.
You know?
You get nothing out of it. You're not getting anything to gain from just being nice to somebody.
Which is where niceness,
Sits.
being nice, kind of, not always, but can cross into that territory for a lot of people. And then they use, I'm a nice person. And it's like, but I know you.
Yeah.
I know what you say when ain't nobody else listening. You're not a nice person.
Exactly.
Right.
You're as mean as I am.
Yeah.
The late Christopher Hitchens put it this way. He goes, the illusion of modernity is that being nice in person has been confused with real altruism. That when no one's looking, and he was not a religious person, but to use like old language, when no one's around and you're by yourself, how do you really feel about other people? How do you really feel about the relationships in your life? How do you feel about your friends? How do you feel about your parents?
Yeah.
Like, I know you love these people, but like,
What's your true?
Yeah.
What do you think of
I don't give a shit how many hands you shake during the day
Yeah.
or you don't shake during a COVID-19, but I don't care what you do during the day. All the clout chasing, all the nice gestures, all the kumbayas, the moral philosophies. This is a real problem in politics.
Yes.
This is something that people will lean into 100%. If you are self-described as like a liberal with a capital L, meaning you tell people that when they don't ask you about it, that's an issue, by the way. If you're telling people your political positions and they're like, I didn't say anything to you about
I
that.
just asked if you
Just throwing it out there.
That's
said
a
hi.
version. That's a version of that virtue signaling. That means that usually when I hear that, I'm like, okay, when you're by yourself, you don't give two fucks about these topics. And if you do care about them, it's just from this area of like, this is an insecurity that you have. Vice versa. If Trump is your daddy,
Yeah.
that's a problem too.
Anytime people reach for extremism or extremist views,
Fundamentalism, man.
fundamentalist, dogmatic, zealot-like views, and again, I think the people on either end of the spectrum are pretty much the same person. The guy over there and the guy over there, y'all are the same. Y'all had one experience that shifted you one direction or another. And you both arrived at the same point, which is dogma. And if you, I always tell Cricket this, you can't trust, if somebody's willing to reach for extremism in one context, they will reach for it in another.
Yeah.
Because why not? If you don't rely or fall back on nuance, or I maybe need to know more about that, or whatever it might be.
Right.
If you know what's best all the time, regardless, I don't trust you.
Yeah.
Not really.
Yeah, unless
That's
you're like
it.
this old man that's went through a lot of shit, and
With
you've
wisdom
you've
and-
already got
yeah.
this attitude of like, yeah, man, a lot of that's out of your control.
And they don't, that's what I was about to say. They don't even get down like that.
Right.
Nah.
Right? Like, old people just volunteering their opinion to somebody walking down the street just because.
No,
No.
they'll do it to you if your grandfather or your dad or
Yeah.
your mother or your grandmother. They might be like, listen, because I love you, I'm gonna tell you something that ain't gonna make sense right now. It might take 40 years before you go back and be like, yeah, she had a point.
Mm-hmm.
But you don't get caught up in very contemporary things that could be fads. I think there's a very good possibility that people get wrapped up in things that aren't thought through to the point that society hasn't thought it through. It won't work.
Mm-hmm.
To give a specific example, we talk about police reform. Okay, well, that's a complex discussion that we need to have as a society. I don't trust anyone who has it figured out. No one has it figured out. There's never been a point in Western history where we haven't had we've had these things figured out. And so I don't think it's as simple as intersectionality, ideas of opinions. I think obviously you should have demographics that represent the areas you're in. Absolutely. No one disagrees on that. But who makes the decisions by how we appoint these things? Because we are a democracy, but we are a republic. We elect people that then make these decisions. We don't make the decisions. And I think this country has fallen victim of thinking that we make all the decisions, that we've somehow revolted back to the days before we were an actual nation. That's not how it works. So when Seattle decided to do its whole thing where they were going to be this own like visual anti-police department, that's literally a prime example of this overzealot behavior.
Yep.
I think it's coming from a good place often,
Yes.
and then you can get obsessed.
Yes.
So yes, police reform needs to happen. It needs to happen soon. But I also know we're in an election cycle, and no one's going to do jack fucking shit until after that. So if you really want to change things, go vote.
Yeah.
And if you want to change other people's opinion on who you should vote for, be sure you're being, I don't know, if you're being dismissive to somebody and you want them to change their opinion, and I go, there's an old saying, Richard Dawkins used to say, the only way you can tell somebody they're an idiot and people listen is if 20 other people are standing around you when you do it, and that person's so clearly out of their mind, and you go, you're a fucking moron. Now, you're not going to change his mind, but the rest of the people might be like, yeah, he's really kind of, he had some holes I couldn't see until you pointed that out. But most of the time that doesn't work. But everyone seems to use that approach.
Yes. And
Everyone.
you need to ask yourself the question, do you want to help the situation or do you want to be right?
Yes.
That's the key distinction.
Mm-hmm.
And I think most people only are interested, especially again on the extreme left and right. They have no interest in actually helping their cause. They can't. There's no way they can. If you want to help your cause, you need more people to believe in it. Obviously, that's the way our political process works here. You don't seem to be trying to draw anybody to your side. That's
Right.
not happening. You're not doing that. You want to be right. Fine, fair enough, but don't then look me in the face and try to convince me. I told you during that whole George Floyd with the riots and the protesting and I struggled a lot because there was a lot of white folks that I know from the gym I work at putting Black Lives Matter up on their Instagrams every day, day in, day out, without fail. And I'm like, you've insulted my intelligence to my face, And if I was a white boy with a master's degree, you wouldn't.
Right. Yeah, but
I don't believe you.
Yeah.
I don't. So I have to exit Instagram because when I see your ass again, I already have lost respect for you. But I can't lose too much because then I can't do my job.
Yeah.
You know? So I have to Homer Simpson away from this shit.
Just slide into the bushes.
You know?
Just,
I don't believe when I see virtue signaling, I usually the first place my mind goes is I don't think you actually believe in this cause at all. You think you have some social equity to be gained from it. Why you got what? How is this Instagram post going to help me?
yeah.
Please tell me. And I'm waiting for someone to make the connection. And I keep asking. We're raising awareness.
Mm.
Okay. To who? Where?
Yeah.
When? How? And then how does this awareness anyway?
No, it's an interesting. I think let's hang on to that just 1 second because I have a question for you. Do you think it's a symptom of, and this is to both of you guys, do you think this is a symptom of assuming? Do you think that comes from a place of guilt, or do you think that comes from a place of they know better than you? And they might not be aware of it. I'm not saying people are aware of what they're doing when they do it in that moment.
Mm-hmm.
But I do know there's been a tendency to, because I see the same thing on Instagram, and often it will be white people, and they are speaking in very complicated ways as if that's part of their experience too.
Yes.
And I just don't have the arrogance to do that.
Right. Yeah.
And I don't know if it's because like I grew up down the road from Port Arthur, and for me this has never been. It's like point a racist to me, point out a racist, and I will fucking ostracize him, and hopefully not be condescending to their children who need to change their opinion. When I say ostracize, I don't mean like shame them in public. I mean like not take them seriously, turn them into something laughable. If you turn them into something dangerous or something that even seems remotely edgy, people like edgy. People are contrarians. So if you tell people that, I don't know, this guy is like, he's really dangerous, I think you make him more attractive. If I say he's just a loon,
He's an idiot.
he's insecure, he's got some sort of complex. You know, I don't know if this guy wants a black dude to come fuck his wife, and this is coming from some deep.
Hey, look, man.
Hey.
It's been listen, this cuck shit.
It's real.
Hey, man, I'm actually being quite serious right now.
This cuck shit is real.
Yeah.
I didn't know how strong a motivator white guilt was until I lived in Los Angeles. Because white people where we from, they ain't got no guilt.
Nah.
They're like fucking. They're like, well.
It happened.
You know, sorry. Fucking
Slavery.
We got to move on.
I wasn't a slave owner. God damn it.
We got to move on. What do you want me to do about it?
I can't change now.
I'm not with that either, bro, because I can't be like I run into a black guy that has the last name Williams, and they're like, man, that's amazing. I'm like, no, it's actually quite terrible.
It's horrifying.
You really want to know the
Actually,
reason.
I'm like, we are technically related by marriage,
But
and more than likely, I've got, I probably got a couple great grandmothers that are black that my great grandfathers never said was my grandmother.
Yeah.
That's almost certainly happened in some circumstances.
Yeah.
And we've done the DNA test. We know what happened.
I think back to that Key and Peele sketch, man. Every time we talk about this, I think about that Key and Peele spit. Jesus fuck. Key and Peele sketch. God damn. They did the 23andMe, or no, the Ancestry.com.
yeah.
It was a white person. You'll never believe who my ancestor was. Mozart. Oh, you'll never believe who my ancestor was. Benjamin Franklin. And a black guy comes up. He's like, you'll never believe who my ancestor was. Thomas Jefferson. Keep going. And there's another white person, and they name this person, and another black guy comes up, and he's like, and you'll never guess who mine was. Also, Thomas Jefferson. All the black people said Thomas Jefferson. That shit was so funny.
Oh man.
I don't see why we can't laugh about race as well as discuss it. Yeah,
It worked very well for the Jews.
And speaking back to your about the guilt, the white guilt thing is, it's like it doesn't actually help anybody. So I think that more times than not, I don't think you should feel guilty per se for being white. You can't help that. You can help your behaviors, your actions, your perspectives, your views. And we talked about this back then, and I talked about it with Cricket on the other podcast. I think the more just having relationships with black people is how you
make that change.
Is how you advance.
Have
in
a
your views.
have a drink with a black person.
Have a drink.
Have
with
a
black
drink
people.
specifically, because it's a metaphor for actually going to do something.
Yeah.
I don't mean like in the workplace. Hey, how's your day going?
Yeah, that doesn't.
Right.
How are you feeling today?
Yeah.
Don't do that.
No.
Yeah.
Go make some friends.
Yeah.
Genuinely try to
Diversify.
get to know somebody.
The university was designed when it was initially made. It was a place to debate.
I'm laughing because it's so not that anymore.
It was a place to debate ideas, is what it was.
That was
it
the whole point.
Worldviews would collide. Protestants and Catholics, black people, white people. Well, at that time,
No white people.
yeah.
Have some goddamn
And here
respect.
comes the guilt. It's coming to the top of my. I'm like a cartoon character. I'm gonna go
rising
blue
up.
in the face and just float away like Cole. Like just get out of this conversation. Survive. Get out of that if you can. But no, it was a place to diversify ideas, sharpen the tools, or dull things that the tools that weren't useful anymore. When Darwin went to the islands and proposed this theory of evolution, and we started to learn more about it, our concepts of where we came from and what humans are in the sort of biological sense and the clocks and what drives species towards reproduction and stuff, that changed our understanding quite dramatically. But it didn't happen overnight. It happened through very fierce debates about the nature of human civilization, about societies. That's at its best. For some reason, though, race and the humanities have been kind of put into their own thing. And science's objectivity, our ability to accept certain facts that everyone pretty much accepts, we've put that in one side of our learning sphere. And we've put religion and sociology and philosophy, we've put that into this sort of like fringe department that only weird people are interested in. And what happens is riots. That's what happens when no one knows how to even have these conversations as adults. Sometimes having a conversation as an adult doesn't mean you're taking yourself too seriously or you're thinking more of yourself. You're just thinking more of other people. And how can we mitigate these things without anarchy, without chaos, and in a way that's going to young people will see this growing up and go, okay, yeah, that makes sense. This person seems to kind of have, they don't have it figured out, but they found a way to mitigate and grow and make the world better during their lifetime. We've lost sight of that. There's a reason why some of our sages of the past almost seem like miracle workers now.
Yeah, I say that about my, even as recent as my grandmother. The stuff that she went through in her life that she told me about, I'm like, how the fuck, I fell apart.
Yeah.
My dad, mom, there's something to
Struggle.
be said for the practicality of previous generations. And I think we've lost that as well.
To be fair to our era, things are society is getting better.
No, I'm just playing.
It's extremely hard to see because of social media, and
Yeah.
we're way too connected, and we're way too in each other's faces. But it's only the metaphor, so it's even worse because you don't have to see the person face to face. You don't have to look them in the eyes and have a conversation that you otherwise can't have. You're incapable of having emotionally, spiritually, human conversations. But in general, I said this on the last podcast, 50 years ago, if you went into a regular room anywhere in Western society, the chances that someone wasn't sexist or bigoted in some way, form, or fashion in the way we understand those concepts today is absolute zero. Even progressive people, Abraham Lincoln freed the slaves, but he said to several people afterwards, it was unequivocal. Black people and white people weren't equal, but they deserved equal footing according to the law. Mm-hmm. But he was as progressive as it got for his time. And I don't want to just isolate these things and say it was okay back then, because that's not at all what I'm saying. But what I am saying, we are moving towards a horizon, and I hope that people can start to see that, to some degree, the reason I think that it's more vocal now is because now you're down to like 7 or 8% of people are horrible. Mm-hmm. And now they're more violent. They're ostracized to a point to where they're desperate. And they'll vote any sort of desperate way to keep that status quo. Yeah. I've always said this, and this is going to take me into some dangerous territory, that the current situation that we're in is a Hail Mary thrown on by, it's like the last resort. It's the last resort. I honestly believe that after we're through this little period, nothing like this will ever, for a long time, be able to bubble back up, because I think we're all going to agree that we need to grow up.
Yeah, I certainly think.
I hope so.
Things are, yeah, I hope so as well. I certainly think things around race have improved over the years, and that's hard to say in light of recent events, of course. Mm-hmm. However, I would argue that kind of stuff, what happened to George Floyd, and many other cases, was happening on an even more regular basis in these small towns. I can only imagine in small towns in the South, in the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, when people weren't walking around with one of these all the time.
Oh God, yeah.
How often that kind of stuff was occurring
on a constant basis. Like,
we have open KKK members right over there in
Vidor.
Fucking Vidor.
Yeah. Vidor, Texas.
Mm-hmm. Vidor didn't.
Gary's Cafe.
Yeah.
Everyone in Southeast Texas has heard that name, and it's literally a Klan bar. Now, I believe it's closed down, but it was very recent. Mm-hmm. And
they didn't. Was it desegregate until 92? Was it desegregation? Yeah.
Or they didn't actually. I think on their books they were.
It
showed they were supposed to be, but when they ran the polls and it was like 99.9% white people.
Yeah, it took
with
a while for that
with
to
a 0.01% of margin of error.
It just ended up that way.
Yeah, we
didn't plan it.
You know,
in this, like, these black couples will be like, yeah, we moved in. They seemed kind of nice, but they had these weird accents. Yeah. Next thing I know, my son's like, look at that, Daddy. There's a fire in the front yard.
There's a cross out there.
Back to bags. We got to go. Fuck this.
And that happened from 1960 whatever till the mid-90s, essentially.
Yeah.
And the Klan presence was present in Vidor, Texas. If anyone doesn't know where Vidor, Texas is at, Southeast Texas, not too far from Houston, actually. Yeah. Not too far from Beaumont. 3 billboards outside Ebbing, Missouri, if you've ever seen that movie, should ring some bells. Actually, Martin McDonough, funny enough, I think based the 3 billboards on 3 billboards that were in Vidor, Texas.
Wow.
About a police chief who essentially let a murder go cold. And it had some sticky racial connections, including rape and murder. Mm-hmm. And it was just too sticky to, we can't. I mean, if we actually look into this, we might convict an innocent black guy. Yeah. Hang on, that doesn't sound right. That doesn't sound right. Hold the phone. Yeah. That definitely happened. And Jasper, Texas.
Yeah.
Black man was drugged
mm-hmm.
down the road until his skin was pulling off his body, which was their intention, by the way. They were going to drag. And I think this is the important part. saying they drug a black man down the road is not strong enough.
Yeah.
It's strong enough in its own right. When you know their intention, which was to pull the black skin off this man.
Yeah.
That was their intention.
Yeah.
When you hear it put that way, it's a level of evil that I think any person of common will should say is wrong. And now we have a starting place of being able to, and I'm all for ostracize people that aren't waking up.
Yes.
Ostracize them. But I just don't want them to be as if they got good ideas that need to be debated in the sort of sense that like these are smart people that are also evil. No, these are fucking morons, nitwits that are extremely insecure, and that they're just, to use an old word, they're projecting that shit onto other people. I don't know, this sort of Jungian shadow of baggage that they carry around with them. They've just, for whatever reason, all their fuck ups as people, they've said, well, you know what it is? I'll tell you what it is. It's these blackies. These guys have risen to power.
They're keeping me they're holding me back. Really? Black people is meeting in a random room at 2 p.m. on Tuesdays to hold you back?
And we've talked about this, bro. I'm going to let you say it. The world is what? It's colder than you think it is.
I think the world is far more harsh than people give it credit for, yes.
It isn't that people are against you.
It's that they don't give a fuck about you.
No one gives a fuck.
You're an eyelash in the context of the world. You're an eyelash in the wind.
Mm-hmm.
If you got in a car accident on the 405 and you died, to almost every person who drove by, you would be an inconvenience to their day. Is how you would register.
Yeah.
That's just the truth.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I know it's not nice, but I think it's true. That's how people operate, right? So all this, like I always get somebody trying to tell me they care about me. Motherfucker, shut up. Stop. On your, oh God, there was a point I wanted to make about racial issues improving over the years. Speaking from a black perspective, I feel it is a major slap in the face to the black people who came before us, our parents, our grandparents, our great-grandparents, great-great-grandparents, to in any way compare what a black person in 2020 in America experiences on a normal day. I'm not speaking about George Floyd. That was different.
Yeah.
My experiences with race, I'll just use myself. My experiences with race in America. The Dillards at Central Mall, the piece of shit mall where we're from. I remember must have been my 15th or 16th birthday. I got a bunch of money for
I'm just thinking
where this story might be going.
I don't
think I've ever told you this.
No,
story.
but I know that Dillard's.
Yeah.
They thought you were trying to steal some cologne or something.
Yeah, not cologne, but
I don't know this story. This is unfortunately.
Yeah. It was. I remember his face vividly. It was a tall white guy, old, washed up, and I was in the Ralph Lauren section looking at stuff, and then I went over to like this other section of the store. I think it was the cologne section when I got over there. And there was some Ralph Lauren t-shirts in that section. So I picked up the t-shirts, and I had picked up like a polo. And when I picked up the t-shirts from the second section, I turned around and the guy was standing there like fumbling with some clothes.
Some shit.
He was like,
one security guard trying to do some shit. Like,
And so then I go into the dressing room to try it on. And I tried it on, and I take it off, and I put it in. I still am not thinking anything of this up to this point. And so I walk out, and in the dressing room, it was like a long kind of hallway where you would enter, and the hallway would go like to your right and left, and they had a bunch of changing rooms. At the end of one side of this hallway was a chair, and the same guy was sitting in the chair with a magazine.
Really?
He was sitting there like,
just watching, just chilling.
Just flipping through pages. Yeah. And I looked at him and I went, I'm going. And then I get to the register, and as I was talking to the woman and buying the clothes, that's when I was like, wait a fucking minute.
Was this motherfucker following me this whole time?
Motherfucker, you was following me. Ain't nobody in this fucking store but me. How you pop up in every area I go to in this big ass store? So I've dealt with that. I've been called the N-word.
Yeah.
You know, I had police fuck with me, not really do anything to me, but like ride my bumper for like 3 blocks and then turn their lights on to tell me I didn't have my license plate in the front of the car. You followed me for 3 blocks to tell me I didn't have a license plate, you bitch ass nigga. Anyway, so I feel it would be I would be spitting in the face of my father to compare that stuff to what he
getting hosed
undoubtedly went through
Yeah.
in Port Arthur, Texas in the fucking 70s, and what his father must have gone through in the 40s.
Yeah.
You know, what my grandmother went through being born in 1922 in Louisiana.
I can only imagine.
Man.
Oh, for fuck.
Being not just black, and a woman too, in 1922
In Louisiana.
in Louisiana.
South Louisiana.
Yeah.
Like out in the swamps. You guys seen 12 Years a Slave, right?
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah.
That's where that's at. That's in Baton Rouge or Lafayette, one of those places.
So again, I it would be disrespectful. Every time I hear I Got the Keys by Jay-Z and Future, and I think it's the second verse where Jay-Z says some niggas always asking me the keys, some E, how we still slaves in 2016. And he keeps rapping. And every time I hear it on a workout, it's a fast song, so it's in like all these workout playlists. Every time I hear it, I go, speak for yourself. Ain't no fucking slave. Fuck out of here. Jay-Z?
Yeah.
What do you mean we?
You ain't nowhere close to where.
You're a slave?
You know?
Jay-Z? Billionaire Jay-Z? No. No, you're not. That's not true. You cannot in any way, I wouldn't even go near trying to compare 2016
to
Jay-Z to what a slave had to deal with
at all
in the 1700s, 1800s. Prior to that, no, it's not right. And it's some millennial shit to do, I think, also. It's like some, I had a hard day today because, no, stop. Your day wasn't as hard as your grandmother's was.
Beat, bro. Like,
it wasn't.
Your life is.
My grandmother couldn't vote for 2 reasons. 2.
Yeah.
No. So, all right.
Completely understand.
We went from we said we wasn't gonna make this too serious.
And it just went.
And we started on football and went depression, racism.
Hey man, so conversations. I'm glad we didn't shift it though.
Right.
It felt like okay, we're going there.
Right.
And actually, I mean, right now in the climate that we're in, we got a podcast with 2 black people and a white guy.
Yeah.
We talked about some stuff today. Not comfortable subjects, but I think that comfort is overrated to some degree.
Yeah. Even regardless, these are what our conversations sound like when we just talk.
Oh, they do.
We just go thing to thing to thing to thing.
There's not an opinion I have about this that you probably haven't heard, and vice versa.
Right.
Or at least a version of it to where you kind of know what I think. And I don't think much. I think it's a real. We got a lot of work to do, obviously, but cooler heads will be the ones that prevail. And there are very enlightened and very. And I'm talking like I'm projecting this out to people that are much better than myself.
Yeah.
I think that's where we have to start. I am not good enough to solve these problems, but I am your biggest ally. There are people that have a better footing that I think I want to communicate with, if that makes any sense. This idea that all 300 million of us are be able to solve this in our own good time is there's a problem with that. That's Batman. Let's go put on your cape and go solve the world's problems with your fists. Let's go punch some Nazis. Okay, well, who are the Nazis?
And you point them out.
Point them out. I'll punch them. Show me a real Nazi, I'll punch him. I have no problem with that.
Patrice O'Neal
And they're out there. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
They're out there.
Yeah.
Patrice O'Neal called it the "I can't prove it" racism, which is that new shit. That's that new shit, and it make you so fucking mad. I'm telling you, every day I be like,
I did want to mention, I didn't realize, and this is way before what's going on is happening, and I already knew this, but it wasn't until I started living with you guys that we'd be going to get like a burger, and a cop would pull up, and you guys would start like
straighten up real quick, big brother.
I'm like, dude. And listen, I could get it, but in the moment, I'm like, oh shit.
Right.
Yeah.
Like him and I will go to Pasadena, and the way Pasadena works, it's like Glendale and Burbank, California. When they call last call
It's
at
last
those bars,
call.
you mentioned the cop thing because I honestly never realized I was scared to death of the police until you pointed it out to me. Like, man, you getting a little, tight in the shoulders, man. I show up, I was like, oh yeah, I am fucking scared to death right now. I didn't realize it. I wanted to close on a bit of a silly topic. We talked about some serious stuff.
Are we going back to NFL?
Yes.
Are we going back to? Well, I'm gonna let you go ahead and drop it.
You want me to tell him?
All right.
Have you heard the news about Odell Beckham Jr.?
yeah, apparently he's into some really, really fringe Pornhub activity.
And that's a bit of a disease going through a lot of our sports teams in the last
Named
couple of.
Selena Powell.
That's just
All right, so there's a new podcast out there called Thoughts Next Door.
should not be alive. Should not be there. Should
Well, it's like
not. I get what it's for.
yeah,
I get
it's
what it's
a
for,
podcast
and-
led by a woman named Selena Powell, who is famous in hip hop circles
Multiple.
for having had sex with a bunch of rappers, and she has sex with a
Yeah.
rapper, and then she instantly goes on Instagram Live and tells everybody. That's what she does. Sometimes she'll even do it after the motherfucker
After
done
done.
fell asleep.
Taking pictures and videos and
You're like,
everything.
See what I pulled off this time, guys? And I think it's just I don't even know what to call it. It gives me an uneasy feeling
That this
that
is,
it's
this is
just
happening.
on both parts, both
Yeah.
parties. Like, it's weird that this is this girl's career.
Mm-hmm.
This is what she does.
That's strange.
It's
This is what she
notable
does for a
for it.
living, and
Like,
she's famous for
People know this.
it. And it's weird to me that these rappers, if I was a rapper or an NBA player or an NFL player, I'd be like, there would be a picture of her.
In every hotel.
There'd be a picture of her in my security team's like room, like
Yep.
the hotel room they staying
Some
in.
CIA shit.
And have a picture of her face. Y'all know this face. If you see this woman, keep her away from me.
Yeah.
Because she knows some shit that I don't. She knows some tricks, obviously,
Exactly.
that I don't know about.
It's called.
Don't let me get got.
You
It's
know?
called. It's called drugs in your drink.
I mean,
You
there
got some
may.
hustlers business going on here.
She's accused
Yeah.
them of doing that to her
So, yeah.
in a couple of instances. And of course, they've all said that's absolutely not true. I don't know what's true. That's not the point. So on this podcast, she has other young ladies.
Is she white or a black girl?
I don't know what she is actually.
can't
Is she
tell.
mixed?
I think she is.
She's mixed.
She looks
But,
like she might be mixed. She might be
yeah.
Hispanic.
I'm just
maybe.
trying to see if I've seen this chick before. It's they're the ones with the reaction channel, right?
No, it's just a podcast,
Yeah.
just similar to this. It just started like 2 weeks ago, and they've gone viral twice now. One for a story they told
course
about
they
one for a
Phoenix
story they
Suns.
told about the Phoenix Suns,
Sheesh.
which I want you to react to.
Yeah.
Second was a story about Odell Beckham Jr. told by Chief
OBJ.
Keef's baby mama.
Which is like,
What?
like how?
I
Oh
love rap
my
music,
God.
but this is the fringe corner of hip hop, like
Yeah.
Selena Powell, Tekashi 6ix9ine, the baby mama stuff, like that. I'm
Avoid.
good. So Chief Keef's baby mama. Why Odell Beckham wanted to have sex with Chief Keef's baby mama, I don't know. But Odell Beckham Jr. ended up DMing back and forth with this young lady. and he says, "Can you send me a picture of you taking a shit?"
And
she sent him a video. No, she sent him a video. She went, "Shit, fuck it, whatever."
Yeah.
She sends him a video. Odell Beckham says, "All right, I'm gonna fly you out." He went, "I have to meet this woman."
What was great, the time frame that she put out there was like, yo, literally by the end of the day, I was out.
I was being flown out. But he instructed me to not shower 24 hours before I came.
Yep.
Before I flew out to see him.
Now, since I
let that process real quick.
yeah, my first question is,
sounded like Vegeta in this bitch.
the power. Oh man. Well, my first question is, does she seem like a dependable source?
I don't.
Because I ain't never met no dude. I know that scat sex is a real thing, but I ain't never met anybody that was really into someone shitting on them. You know?
There was another woman on, not that podcast, but Adam 22 No Jumper who started the.
God forbid I don't believe her, but
there was a porn star on one of those podcasts, and she admitted to liking to be shit on.
But she's in a fucked up industry. I kind of understand that.
Some used to be in the money.
She's into freaky shit. Odell Beckham. To answer your question, I don't know if it's a dependable source. If she had just said that they had sex, then I'd be like,
okay,
maybe
that could possibly happen.
Maybe, and honestly, I really don't give a fuck if y'all had sex. That's the truth of the matter. We were talking about this yesterday. Like, I don't care what you do with your dick or vagina. Unless it has something to do with my dick, it's not my problem.
Oh, and
God bless, do your thing.
And if he likes her shitting on him, you know, that warm brown substance all up and down his body.
The muddy splash zone.
That's gonna be one mushy climax.
Went to the Browns, man.
But listen,
he plays for the Browns. Odell plays for the Browns.
And she's apparently okay with it too.
Undoubtedly,
because I think if I told a girl like, "Hey, listen, baby, I know this is weird, but I want you to bite my neck and I want you to take a fat shit on my stomach," she'd be like, "Oh!" She'd just run out of the room.
Me and you. If it was us, anybody at this table, yes, that would be the conclusion. Odell Beckham Jr. asks.
Right. Yes. He's
a beautiful man, very successful, supreme athlete.
You know,
he lost a fight with like the little net you kick a football into.
Yeah, not his finest moment. I'm not really a fan of Odell Beckham Jr.
Even though you're mildly morphing into.
Fuck you.
I feel like her job at this point in time, like, what is she? Is she supposed to be like the sex worker whistleblower? Is that like her thing? I shouldn't say sex worker. Actually, I'm going to say that. Like, she gets money out of the situation, I'm sure.
Well, I mean, from doing that podcast, whistleblower is more the term I'm not sure about, because it's like whistleblowing to me comes with an inherent.
Oh, I definitely am being cynical about this.
Okay. All right, then fine.
I don't mean. I mean, to be even more fallacious, I'd be like, she's like the modern day Abigail Williams.
I don't even know who
Abigail Williams is the character in The Crucible that starts saying that, you know, in the play at least, to be fair. And you could say that it's misogynistic to some degree, but it is based in some. It essentially starts off with sexual frustration, which then leads into accusations, and those accusations lead to people getting hung.
Yeah.
And it's based on, like, it started off with a feeling. So John Proctor, Abigail Williams are having an affair, a secret affair in a very religious community. He threw her out the house because the wife was like, "You got to get that bitch out the house." She goes. And next thing you know, she just starts telling stories to the town. Now, she doesn't bring up the sex part because that's a little too taboo. Back then, what you would do is you talk about the devil.
In this case, the shit.
In this case, the shit. Because this is in our culture today. That's the language that makes sense to us.
Yeah.
If she was talking about the devil, we'd be like, okay, this bitch is crazy.
Yeah.
But she's like, this guy likes some turds, man. He's in some turd action. I even took a poop in his face. Actually, I don't know if she said all that, but the fact it's so far out there, bro.
That just hit you on.
Fuck. It's got. I mean, where's the boundary point?
Yeah,
it's like,
that's not one.
is it okay to shit on his leg? Okay, at what point in time is it too close to his face?
What?
And here's the thing. I'm with you, bro. He's a moron, and she.
Yeah.
And the only interesting thing about her is her sex life.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
So they're both they're both imbeciles.
I'm not a fan of either party.
And that's the bottom line.
But-
Because Stone Cold said so.
To each their own. Hey, listen, Odell's the type of guy that might come out and say, listen, I do like some...
Well, he has responded in a way where he's like,
if he said anything but hell no, then I'm a little worried.
What did he say, man?
he did an Instagram post that said, basically, I have to deal with I
have to deal with a lot
I
of
was
shit.
about to say that, but let me make sure I get this correct.
I'm dealing with a lot of shit right now. You find that quote real
ahead.
quick, and we'll listen. Yeah, I don't give a fuck what people do in the privacy of their bedroom. If they were both consenting adults and decided to do that, fine. But that it's Odell Beckham Jr. is hilarious.
It's funny.
His track record.
But what's
leading up
not
to this
consensual
is-
though is the discussion afterwards. If no one was raped or nothing bad happened, you should keep that shit to yourself.
Yeah.
It's
in your
it's
privacy of your own bedroom.
no, and not because I don't want to hear
But-
it. Because if I'm Odell Beckham Jr., what the fuck you doing?
Yeah.
I'm just reverse the roles for just a second.
Yeah. Yeah.
If he was like, if he did a podcast and was like, she's a whore and she did this, we'd hang him.
Yeah.
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 So I'm
We
just,
would.
yeah.
I got you.
Yeah.
Definitely.
That's what, I mean,
definitely.
I'm keeping it real, bro.
So his post on Instagram was, cannot knock me off my pivot no matter what shit thrown my way. Was what he put out as a response to
I
that.
Can I
like
see that?
that.
Can I see that picture of him real quick?
Yeah.
I like that. I like that he joked about it.
Yeah.
I like that he joked
He
about
took a light way to go at
I
it.
don't care what shit y'all try to throw at me.
Well,
I'm still a strong, independent bitch. You will not stop me.
I got a theory. So he was traded to the Cleveland Browns.
Yep.
The Browns haven't had a mascot in a long time.
Ooh.
And so, and it's supposed to be a dog. A dog's a brown.
Mm-hmm.
But you could make the case that he was trying to find his game because he's been off for a while. He hasn't been Odell Beckham. He hasn't been that one-handed catch wizard that he's become.
Yeah.
So maybe by self-identifying as a Cleveland Brown, his wet brain maybe thought
He wanted
if
to
he
have
got shit on
a little inspiration.
and it was brown and it was warm, it would just make his game fire again. I don't know.
Nope. That's not how that works. Jerry Rice never
I'm
got
just try-
shit on.
No.
Well,
Well,
We don't
as
know.
far as we know.
as far as we know. As
Here's
far
the
as-
thing. How weird is it?
Allegedly.
Here,
We don't
let's
know.
lean into this. How weird is it to be shit on?
On a scale of 10, it's a 13.
Yeah.
But I mean, really, what's the...
I really,
I don't
you know, really, motherfucker. 13 on a scale of 10. On a 30-point scale, it's a 48.
Okay, where's the boundary? Where's the boundary? What is the wildest thing that you're willing to entertain in your personal life? Yes, I'm asking you that question.
Definitely not shit.
Okay, so let's scale it back.
What's the wildest thing?
Sure. Wildest thing in terms of optics. Obviously, it's not wild to you, probably. You're like, yeah, so what do I like?
It's gonna. This is how I'm looking at it. Is whatever woman I end up settling down with, we're probably gonna get into some freaky shit over the years.
Yeah.
You know,
expected.
as time goes on, we're just gonna be like, listen, this missionary ain't
Let's try
cutting
some
it
new
no more.
shit. Yeah.
You know. So when I'm 35, I'll probably be able to look at you and say I've eaten ass.
I see. Hey, here we go.
I've been squirted on.
Yeah. Which is, you've been pissed on as well. So,
Right.
so
We're okay with that.
I'm okay with squirting.
And you
from
eat out.
Mrs. Tyler Thomas.
Yeah.
Now, I can't.
other hoes?
Here's my problem: is I can't have some girl just walking around Los Angeles like, yeah, girl, I squirted in his face. He ain't shit.
Oh.
Fuck him.
As our Cajun friends would say, you eat ass, you eat ass.
For the missus, I'll try it.
Oh,
Yeah.
you
I
eat
might
that
hate it.
ass, man. 2 3/4 inch wood, that turd.
Wow. I would. Again, in a serious relationship.
Yeah.
Not some random girl. But
Never,
yeah.
never. I can't do the smell.
What if she just got out of the
Like
shower?
cleaned up and
Her asshole's gonna not stink because she got out of the shower.
Right. Yeah. She cleans it.
What if she farts? Yeah.
If she farts, then we're getting a divorce. This relationship's over.
See, this is why I don't want to.
If I lower my own pride to do this for you because I love you and you
need
want
you
it
to
done,
hold that back.
and then you fart in my mouth, this
Well,
relationship's fucking over.
She don't have to fart in your mouth. She could just let a loose one go before
If you fart during sex with me, I don't.
Even right before sex, the hole's gonna smell.
What about period sex?
I don't prefer it.
That ain't what I asked you.
I'd lie and say that I would be. Listen,
Have you done it?
yes,
Are you willing to do it?
yes, but
forward.
I didn't like it. Yeah, It's something I had to try first. Yeah, because the
I was
girl-
tricked
you were tricked.
3 times.
I was kind of tricked. It was like I'm on day 6 or 7.
Yeah.
I think I should be good today.
That's
Yeah.
what.
and
be lying, bro.
And then I'm like, we're not good.
Oh shit.
We're definitely not good.
Yeah.
Okay, now the bed is really in
Yeah.
some bad shape.
And it got
Okay,
dark.
all right.
Yeah.
Well, don't stop. Well, no, I'm gonna stop.
No, yeah, right. They always act like, like I'm just supposed to. Why you can't just power through it? Like, what's the problem?
Aren't you a man?
They'll look at you, and they'll try to like emasculate you
Yeah.
because you don't want to have bloody crime scene sex.
I'm like, my dick's not working. This is not.
That's not- I can't just.
And I can smell the iron in the room. You can definitely smell the iron. You can do it.
I'll tell you mine. It had gotten dark. It was light out, and light started. It was going for a while. And I remember thinking, and I became very acutely aware of this thought in the moment. I was like, I can't feel anything. She's too wet. That was what I thought. I was like, she's so wet.
Yeah.
I'm going to be at this for 4 hours before I
It's
can
blood.
actually be. I didn't know that. So then we switched positions because I'm like, again, I can't fucking feel anything. So I'm like, maybe doggy style. Flip her over. And I slapped her ass when I flipped her over. And when I looked down, it was a big, bloody handprint on her right ass cheek. Because, of course, I took, and inserted it in.
Went for it.
And then I went,
Ooh.
And she went, well, I guess I'm not quite there yet.
right, yeah.
But
She's like, but wait, did she like grabbed my arm, drugged me into the restroom, into the shower,
and cleans your dick.
and washed it all off. And then she was like, let's just keep going. I was able to go for a little while longer. But then I was like, honey, it's
Was
just
it
not-
like 6 or 7 days, and you guys were just so horny? You're like, God, I can't wait for this.
It
shit
was
to be
her,
over."
man. I was cool.
Well,
Yeah.
that's the thing. A lot of women get more
I thought it was over.
more erotic when
You in your 30s, you've been having periods. For 20 years. You don't know how this shit works.
well, I mean, honestly, a girl can tell me whatever, and I just go, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I do that whole like, that's your body, but I don't want to exchange fluids with you.
Not them kind of fluids.
until your body's working again. the way that I imagine it works. Poor girls, they got it rough, man. That
feel
shit's
for
gotta
y'all.
suck. If my
Yeah.
dick bled once a month,
I'll go further. If my nose bled once a month, I would be a mess.
I would have
I don't know
so
how they
much
deal with that shit.
penicillin in my apartment.
I don't know how they deal with that shit.
I would be eating antibiotics with my breakfast.
I'd stay at home.
I'd probably die of cancer very soon. I mean,
Like I'm bleeding out of my genitals. I'm not going anywhere.
no, you're a real trooper to those women out there,
Yeah.
man. You guys are
Shout out to y'all. Now, I
y'all
don't
some
want to
real
have sex.
gangsters there with that shit.
I don't want to have sex during it, but God bless.
And never
Shout out to you.
and no no ass eating, man. Come on. If they fart, I mean, you know my reaction. You know my reaction. Ah! You just run out of the room. there's no discussion that needs to take place. You could tell anybody whatever you want to tell them.
What's your name, man?
I don't think I've had a woman fart during sex with me.
I've never had that either.
No.
But it is an irrational fear. It's like
that would
spiders or snakes
I don't like spiders, man.
or a lizard crawling through your hair or me talking about lice and you're thinking about your scalp and you're feeling them walk on
start
your
that
head
itch.
right now as I speak.
Why would you do this to our listeners?
Just
Because that's what
the amount
That's
of
what-
torment is coming from this.
that's what farting smells like to me.
Like lice.
Like lice. It's an irrational fear.
All right.
I don't even like
folks.
when I fart. I go like, hey, I'm at work. I'm like, I need to take a step outside. And they're like, why? And I'm like, I need to check my. I got a phone call. I mean, what do you mean why? I'm not your bitch. I don't have to fucking explain why I need to step outside. COVID. I don't want to get COVID. Okay. I want to fart outside so I don't give people COVID.
That's why we get along. I too step outside to fart because I respect myself and I respect other people. All right, all of y'all just thinking this shit's funny and just go up to your friend and fart on their shoulder.
Yeah.
Fucking cricket.
Yeah.
That's what I'm
Don't
telling.
you-
That's what
don't
I
you
was
love
telling
that?
you about.
Yeah.
Don't you love those girls that have that little bit of a tomboy still in them to where they're just like,
Yeah.
oh,
That's definitely her.
or they burp. Sorry. And they're eating a cheeseburger and you're like, that is the most unfeminine thing.
God damn. How did you just bust that shit out like that?
That's a nice powerful dude.
Well, I mean,
Growing up in the country, man.
growing up in the country, and it's like crying, you know. You
Yeah.
learn how to do it on cue, right?
All right, folks. We've covered the gamut of topics here. I think that's it for today's episode. I'll just do the please like, subscribe, share, tell a friend. Anything
And what will
else?
help us on YouTube too
Yes.
is
Yeah.
I see we have over 80 something people subscribed to Facebook, so I'm going to upload this to YouTube and to Facebook separately because it's pre-recorded. Please go to the YouTube page if you're listening to our content and enjoy it and subscribe and like because that will help us in the algorithm.
Yeah, that'll help us grow.
Especially us being an explicit show where we're not family friendly.
We ain't pulling no punches
Nope.
over here.
We do
Everybody gets
need the support. If you guys like the show, if you don't like it, then to each their own.
Yeah, shout
Just
out
like
to you.
boot-
God bless.
just like scat sex, to each their own.
Yeah. Yeah, shout out to Odell Beckham Jr.
Out here browning it.
All right, folks.
All
That's
right.
it.
Peace.
Adios.